and funding from the National Park Service to add some improvements to the 28-mile Mississippi River Greenway corridor. Some of these improvements will be new and improved wayfinding across the trail, some landscaping, and then we're filling out some of our 2014 Mississippi River Regional Trail Interpretive Plan exhibits. And one of the interpretive themes in that interpretive plan is the concept of framing the existing Hastings Bridge and telling some stories about the historic bridges that have been in the city of Hastings, namely the Big Blue Bridge and the Spiral Bridge, and the existing one that we have today. When we were talking about framing those bridges, and in conversations with Chris and amongst ourselves, we thought, what better way to frame it than that existing remnant of the Blue Bridge that is sitting in River Flats Park today. This is that remnant piece, and in talking with some structural engineers, we found that a lot of the components of this Blue Bridge are historically significant. That latticing in the bridge is a structural engineering method that isn't done today. And then those two footings that are right here in the photo, those are also expansion joints that are also no longer used in bridges today. And we thought that was a very valuable piece of history, and we just think this is a really, really cool remnant of that bridge. So in those conversations, we thought about where would this be good, how could we utilize this to help tell that story of those bridges. We came from two perspectives, and one was simply propping it up, making it a gateway along the trail, similar to how we did with the swing bridge in the city of Inver Grove Heights. Or we thought about turning it into kind of a gathering space, and we were thinking about where we could locate that. So the gateway could, in theory, go anywhere along the trail, and we identified a good spot for the gathering space just southeast of the parking lot at J.C. Park. We've come up with two designs that we are seeking approval from you all and approval to move forward with concept design. These are two preliminary designs that would create on concept A plaza space that interprets the bridge structure right here and would have the actual existing structure pointing towards the existing bridge with a bump out and a gathering space with bench seating and swing benches. This concept B is more of a portal concept that would have interpretation around the spiral bridge at this location, the Big Blue Bridge at this location, and the current bridge at this location. We picked this location because of the fact that it is a large clearing along the greenway, and it would require some of the least grading and tree removal. This is a closer up detail of concept A. You can see there's limestone seating along here, limestone seating along the circle for more of a gathering space concept, and concept B is more of an isolated private walk along the spur to get a frame view of the existing Hastings Bridge. We are currently in preliminary design. I'm coming to you today to ask consent to move further and consent to use that bridge structure. We currently do not have a cost estimate. It really depends on the shape that the bridge structure is in as we move deeper into design and survey it. And at this time, Dakota County, due to the funding sources we have, would not be requesting any funding from the city of Hastings to move forward with this. We would be able to pay for the entire structure and implementation of either of these two designs. Are there any questions I can answer about this project.
I think the first question I had is both A and B, do they both have the interpretive part where there are all three bridges could be kind of investigated?
The plaza is more oriented, concept A is more oriented around the big blue bridge. Concept B is more oriented around the three bridges.
Yeah, okay, I wondered that.
Michael, would it help to walk commissioners through your 3D and what's in front of you so it's a little bit easier for them to see? And you guys come down here. It'll be easier to see.
We 3D printed out, we surveyed the bridge and printed it out to scale on what it would look like in the park with to scale models of humans and this is the location where it would be in concept A. In concept B, it would be located right here. This is the direction of the existing bridge. This is the direction of the existing bridge on this concept. And we thought it would be important for the lattice to be facing the trail and the user because that is such a unique and interesting feature of the bridge.
It's just the way my brain works. Don't worry
Yeah,
about
that
it.
makes sense.
Just the park and rec brain, it's
Yeah,
fine.
that makes sense.
Yeah, so facing the Highway 61 bridge this way.
And we're not entirely sure how we would use the two expansion joints, but we find it useful to have them at the site due to the fact that they are historically significant pieces of engineering.
I think similar to some of the mooring pieces and stuff that are still down at Levy Park. You might be probably familiar with those, just some of the old mooring rings and some of the old foundation stuff that's been incorporated there too.
Kind of a segue question would be, are there any remnants or artifacts from the old spiral bridge still around that could be displayed here?
We've been doing some investigation on that. We haven't found anything. We do know there's a replica.
Oh,
at
yeah.
somewhere.
Yes.
And we thought that was, yes, and we're hoping to see,
By the Legion.
pardon?
Yep, the foundation
Yep,
footings.
the foundation footings by the Legion and some of the old mooring rings are found in Levy Park.
Okay, so there might be some.
I'm not sure if there's
Well,
any
we can't
floating
use them
around.
up.
Okay.
I mean,
Usable?
It's not like we can dig them up and just move them
No.
forward.
No.
It's just,
Yeah, they were already incorporated into another project.
you give me the right machine and
Well,
Yeah, yeah. Relative cost.
We're looking at anywhere from 200 to 300,000 right now.
Is there much of a cost difference between the two plans?
No. And like I said before, it really depends on the condition of the bridge that is
Mhm.
Understood.
correct.
And Michael, this is the existing trail, is that right?
That is the existing trail.
And then headed towards the river.
And
Existing-
river is here.
The river is.
This is Rocking Dam Road over here.
Oh, okay,
And
okay.
we're headed towards Confluence. from
Yeah,
the river.
okay, fair enough.
Boat launch parking lot around here.
okay.
What would this connect to?
That would just be, it wouldn't connect to anything. You'd be
Okay.
able to stand out there and get a view of the river, burning the bridge.
Dead end.
That's really cool, actually.
Yeah.
This is cool. So my thing is what are we worried about the structure of the bridge itself, that it is so far deteriorated over the amount of time that it's been sitting in the ground, or by the ground?
It depends on the structural integrity.
Okay.
Realistically, we could reinforce it and add
Of
footings
course.
into the ground. Other concerns are the quality of the paint, the type of paint, whether or not it needs to be coated, repainted.
It will.
Yeah, it is rusting a lot.
Well, and that was a question we had, is if we wanted to keep some of the natural patina that has gained over time, or if we did want to repaint it.
My personal opinion is I wouldn't touch it unless you had to. Let it be. I mean, it's an old bridge. It came into, what was it, 1951, I believe?
There'll be something guaranteed there's lead paint in it.
Of course there is.
So remediation, whatever that looks like, could be
Yeah.
a variety of options in there.
But what you're saying is that will just affect the cost up or down based on
Right.
what needs to be done. It isn't gonna make it usable or not usable, it's already usable, it just would be additional costs if there needs to be some.
We've determined it is usable,
Yeah.
it's just a matter of.
So structurally, it's okay, we just need to find out about contaminants,
Correct.
more or less,
Correct.
close it down.
And there might be a world where we have to trim off some of these I-beams to
Yeah,
balance it out,
of
to make
course.
the A-frame more, more aesthetically appropriate for the location.
No, I love the concept.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing.
Now,
I'm leaning towards the circle personally, but
I have
Yeah,
two-
the only thing I don't like about this one is the dead end. It's like a path to nowhere. If there was some destination, that would make it feel a little
maybe we
different.
could put a bridge there and then have a bridge to nowhere.
It is the design team's
Sorry.
preference.
This
This
is
is
an
the
angle.
design team's
Okay.
Uh-huh.
preference.
Uh-huh.
This also then has the potential of being used for public gatherings
Right.
of different kinds as well.
Correct.
Do we have a scale on here at all?
I think that's what the people are for.
No.
From the landscape architect.
Yes, we do have a
Sorry,
landscape
sorry.
architect
Yeah.
on here.
I think I like this one because of the three and the history.
I
You
know,
can follow the
Wendy,
history
I
of
know.
the bridge.
I like
And
that too.
that's what I like about
I
it.
like
Yeah,
that
1 inch
too.
equals 20
You
feet.
know, it is.
Yeah.
A doesn't restrict
I'm
that
just-
conversation.
Well, this
We
one
did kind
is,
of
but it's
take
not.
the circle as a way to interpret,
1 inch equals
in the
5.
future, interpret the spiral
Yeah.
in a way. We can skew the circle in a way to interpret the spiral if we wanted to.
This seems to have more function to it.
Yes. More
Yeah.
people gathering function.
Exactly.
Whereas it has more like historical direction function.
Even the possibility at some point, I mean, what is the plan for the surface here?
Right now, we haven't gotten that far. Right now,
Okay.
it's a turf or a prairie restoration conversion.
I see.
We also wanted to not pave anything near here to encourage people from not going up to the I-beams or anything
Oh,
like
sure.
that.
Have those Stonehenge.
So
And-
you don't want to pave, so what is the yellow, you don't have a,
That's
you
turf
don't have a
conversion.
key, it's
That's-
turf.
Yeah,
What is the green then?
that's more of a prairie restoration.
Okay, fair enough.
I like it.
But this circle would be entirely paved.
Yeah. No, I think that, I love the circle concept. I think it's absolutely beautiful.
This is the,
Existing
The
trees.
path, the
Existing
trail,
trail.
existing
yeah,
trails.
right.
This loop would be added, and it would,
Okay.
this would allow for, if people are getting off the trail to
Mhm.
stop and view without actually having to interact with it.
Right.
To get close without necessarily, if there is a gathering there, they wouldn't have to encroach upon that.
Commissioner Slavic.
Yes.
Do you have an opinion on this?
So as I understand, the next step, this is, if these come there, then you'll kind of refine them, and
Correct.
you don't need to make a decision tonight on which one.
No,
You're
not at
gonna
all.
spend the energy to kind of refine them
Yeah.
a little bit better.
We're more here to get your consent to
Yeah.
move forward.
Of
Were there other
course.
ones that you threw out that you chose not to do?
So there is the opportunity to just prop it up as a gateway along the trail. That is, Plan C, if this proves more expensive than our initial cost estimates, that would be an alternative. It was also brought forward to, if this isn't structurally sound, which it ended up being structurally sound, to cut it up and turn it into seating in more of a spiral plaza space without the A-frame. But it is my personal opinion and the design team's opinion that if we can maintain the A-frame, that would be a better form of interpreting the space.
Was someone in the concept stages of this thinking about the spiral bridge and the spiral design?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
yes.
I like that.
Two.
The spiral bridge is one of the most interesting
Yeah.
pieces of
Yeah.
engineering I've ever seen. I'm from Wisconsin, and I see it's right there. I'm from
Uh-huh.
Wisconsin, and I went to the Wisconsin Dells a lot. It reminds me of some of those old wooden go-kart
Go-kart
tracks.
tracks.
So I got a kick out of that, but we all found that to be one of the coolest pieces of engineering I've ever seen.
My mom used to have to get off the bus and walk across the bridge so the bus could go over, and then she'd get back on the bus on the other side. That's,
Why?
yeah,
Why did they
because
have to
they
get
were
off?
too heavy.
Too heavy with the
Oh.
people.
The bridge couldn't take
With all
it.
the kids on there, they were too heavy, so she'd
Yeah.
have to get off.
Yeah,
They'd make the kids walk across.
wow.
I would say, I'm not going across. And maybe that's where I got it from.
Yeah, I think this is really.
I think the
very-
circle pattern to myself is awesome. I think moving forward, I will notion that we go ahead and let you guys go with it. And let's figure out a way to make this part of our JC Park and everything else. And
We
make it-
have a motion on the
I'll
table.
second
Is
it.
that
Yes.
correct?
Or is that how we do it, Chris? Sorry.
I'm just trying to think,
Sure.
right, Michael's looking for, support from the commission.
Yes,
Ultimately, there's gonna be, council input as well, right?
Mhm.
So the Parks and Rec Commission is going to forward their, support recommendation to city council.
We have-
correct.
We have a motion of support and a second. Any
I have
discussion?
motion support for sure.
Discussion on the motion.
No.
There being none, call the question.
Oh.
All in favor? Unanimous.
Nice.
Well, that was easy.
Does it
Yeah.
matter, Michael, that everybody is much more leaning towards this and as far as your time developing future design work?
Really good question.
The only thing that matters is that we recognize it is the city of Hastings bridge structure, it's the city of Hastings Park, and we want to honor your requests on what you prefer in your
Well,
community.
what I mean by that is, everybody that's looked at it says, this is the direction to go, and you said you'd develop both. Is it worth your time to develop the other one?
And are we gonna waste money developing?
Well,
those?
it's not our money,
That's right.
It's
so,
the federal money.
But,
Right.
it is our, it is our money though.
We
ultimately.
could move forward with this without advancing the other alternative.
if that were approved by the council, if they feel as strongly as we do.
I'll call some. What do you think?
So I would say, assuming you can be within the same price range, I think that might be the overall cost. That's
So
probably-
then I flip the coin at that point.
It is, I mean, I think if you can figure it out, I would also agree that I think that's probably, when the average person looks at it, they're going to go and say, the middle one makes the most sense.
It's more aesthetically pleasing,
I
and
think
it also integrates into the,
And I think the point is there is, you mean, think of this is pretty much where they used to have the band stage for Rivertown Days. And so it's
Yeah.
where people gathered and
Yeah.
where those who've been here for many years. And that area now, as Rivertown Days has moved on other parts of town, it kind of lacks its gathering spot. There's that swing that's kind of by there that you can kind of look at the bridge. And so having something that kind of creates a central gathering place as value, assuming they stay within because, it's a pretty large federal grant, but it has to go all the way from South St. Paul to Hastings. And putting extra priority on one area versus the other, it's got to find balance.
And I guess taking funding away from planning from one to the other, I get that part of it, but planning wise, obviously, as a Parks PRC committee,
Yep.
we're focused more on this one. But, and we also understand though, if that one is $100 and this one is $400, that the $100 one is fine also.
Yep.
But we just gotta make sure that it fits in with
well, and
our.
also the motion that we have passed here is merely, we support the concept.
Correct.
Whichever.
We're not,
You are
we're
correct.
not the deciders.
As the project manager who is managing the budget and aware of all of the moving parts of this project, I, county staff, and our design team are not concerned at all with the cost, how it will balance out. We are,
I just pick one.
pardon?
I just pick one.
And if it comes down to where anything for some unforeseen reason has to come to the chopping block, we have already identified a tier of priorities of where
being a conservationist myself, I'm a little bit hesitant to suggest that anything should be paved. But might there be a consideration down the line of this actually also being a venue for music? If,
I think we moved it to the Rotary Pavilion
well,
for
yeah.
that reason.
Yeah.
No, but my point being that this could also function that way. It would have only one advantage over the Rotary Pavilion, and that is it's farther from the railroad tracks.
Yeah, I think event planning down the road for this space would be something,
Yeah, it's something,
yep. And
Out of the
city and
frame,
county
yes.
will have to work through a variety of different things with
exactly.
ownership, maintenance, permitting, all those sorts of things too, so.
But a big thing with this project that we've been considering is thinking about programming for the future. We don't necessarily see this project ending right here. And we don't want to plan or design a space that eliminates the possibility of other things happening in the future. So those programming concerns right there, we're taking into consideration about how this space can be utilized and not be restrictive to uses. Because at the end of the day, like I said before, Hastings Park is the city of Hastings Park, and we don't want to take away from that park by adding this feature.
And one other question, that is, okay, we see this, what level of interpretation is going to be incorporated into this?
We would add interpretive panels that tell probably the engineering stories with this, kind of what I said before, how unique the latticing is, unique these expansion plates are, and the history of the bridges.
Of the other bridges?
Of the other bridges. We also want to take in consideration an inventory of all the interpretation in the area about these bridges, because I know there is other interpretation of the bridges, and we don't want to crowd the area with that interpretation, and we don't want to retell a story that was already told. And in its own right, the propping up of this is it's a form of
That is
interpretive exhibit.
interpretation, yes.
And I'm not entirely sure, but this, what is shown right here with these blue grates, that's an interpretation of how the bottom side of the bridge looks. The deck median.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So this is more of an interactive form of interpretation. And like I said, we can incorporate the idea of the spiral within the circle for the spiral bridge. So the interpretation is not just the panel, it's the spaces being interpreted.
Have you guys ever been up to, is the Southside Hall or Emerald Heights?
Which one?
The one where the old goat bridge used to be?
Swing Bridge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That-
in
Emerald Heights.
Emerald.
Yeah.
Go up there and
Yep.
just take a walk.
Mhm.
I mean, it's absolutely beautiful, and that's what they're talking about doing.
And that's a county project as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's amazing that you guys are willing to get involved with this with
Yeah.
the city. So I mean, that project up there turned out beautifully. So
And that's
it's
where we
called
drew
Goat
some-
Bridge. I always knew it as a toll bridge.
Yeah, now it's a swing bridge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yep, and that's where we drew some inspiration because a planner, a senior planner, or a principal planner that is helping with this project also helped lead the charge on
Yeah, yeah.
getting that restored.
That's a beautiful park up there.
Absolutely. And when you can restore historic features like this.
Of course.
It's cool.
It's amazing. Thank
That's
you.
great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike.
Team Mike.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I did not mean to step on Rotary's toes.
Oh, no.
So the other question I have
That's all
is,
right.
do we all get like, you know, the replicas of the bridge pieces and stuff like that if it goes through?
I can talk about it. I can think about it.
A little piece to put in your
A little
pocket.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just
You
kidding.
could greet one of the little people.
Oh, there we go. No, I love your interpretation.
I do
It's
too.
amazing.
Yeah, that is
So,
great.
Thank you.
Actually,
Yeah.
both of them are very good.
well, it makes it easier for
Yeah.
laymen to understand. So, awesome. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.
Please, sir.
So we look at, well, if you need it, send you some copies of the minutes. County notes that as part of the record.
Yeah, definitely do not have
At some point, we'll talk about it in your design phases when you might want to bring something to city council as well.
And I'll include you as we move forward anytime we advance this.
Yeah, perfect, perfect.
Well, moving right along to department updates.
Let me read one of them here.
Oh,
Director Jenkins, please.
Perfect, thank you. Yeah, just actually some fairly quick ones. We've got a lot going on, but as far as our updates go, the Lake Rebecca project, the LCCMR-funded project, is currently out for bid. We have a pre-bid meeting next week, and then bids currently are due March 6 for that. So still working,
bids will you be getting?
don't know,
Oh,
however many
kinda
submit.
out there and
Yep, it's
whoever
in,
wants to bid on it.
correct, correct. So we're still working through, as you know, we've requested an extension, a completion date extension through the LCCMR. That's currently in the bills. It's been through one committee so far. Needs to get all the way through and signed before we are 100% that we get to extend beyond June 30 of 2025. So we're working through the logistics on that. Don't want to set the city up to be on the hook for a $600,000 project down there and have a contractor on board and not be able to move forward. But at the same time, we want to hit bidding at a good time as well. So we're working with our consulting team through those. The natural resources work up there continues. There'll actually be some people out this weekend doing some of that work up in the kind of northwestern corners. So that work continues. The ice arena project continues. That refrigeration project, we're getting very close to being able to put ammonia into the system and get all those things worked through. There's minor things that seem to take a little bit too long now and again. But we still have ice still running on those temporary chillers, so that continues as well. Last night at the city council meeting, the mural for the side of the civic arena was approved. So that is good, and that will be moving forward. Before we do that, and I did share commission's thoughts on the mural, we still have time, and we'll work through a process with the artist on what exactly those individual cards might be, what they might represent, those sorts of things. So that's still good. I'm also working with our lighting contractor. That's one of the projects we do have in 2025 is to redo all of the lighting, interior and exterior of the ice arena, switch it all out from the fluorescents and high-pressure sodiums and all the things that we have to all LED. So that'll be coming up this year as well. And we're looking to add some exterior lighting on the building to be able to highlight that mural piece as well. And let's see, ice fishing this 2 weeks ago? Not this last weekend, 2 weeks ago. What page say they had 290 registered, 203 attended. So that's still fantastic.
Yeah.
And it looks like 9 attended for the snowshoe hike. It was a little bit chilly that morning, but good partnership with Dakota County Parks on that. Those are the big updates we have for our department right now. If you guys have any questions on anything that's happening, I'm happy to try and answer them for you.
Of course I have questions because that's what I am. With changing the lighting at the arena down to LEDs, is that gonna increase the heat cost or no? Or is there not that much lighting there?
No, and particularly in the rinks where we have T8 fluorescents, those
Okay.
aren't generating any sort of heat for the
Okay.
building.
The only reason why I asked that is I was reading an article saying that the Mall of America doesn't have a lot of heat there because of all the lighting and all of their natural sunlight.
Sure,
So their heat is only in the stores.
okay.
So I was just curious. And then, now I lost my train of thought. Moving forward, obviously, the cost of the extra chillers was part of the original bid that we thought was gonna be part of that, correct?
The city had a built-in cost for a certain number of months for a chiller to be on site to operate according to the project schedule.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's gonna astronomically change anything, but it might change it a little bit.
I don't intend for it to change any of what the city is required to pay.
Yep. Okay.
And our consulting
And then-
team and contractors are well aware of that.
My last question, and I only thought about this the other day as I drove by United Heroes Lake. Are we hoping that those murals will be up on the arena before that time happens next year?
Yep, before Hockey Day, Minnesota.
Okay.
Anything else?
Nope, I'm good.
Other than that, the chair entertains a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Nobody made a first.
Okay, I'll first.
I'm a stickler for
Sorry.
Robert's rules.
All right, I'll first, let's adjourn.
I will second.
Any opposition?
Thank you.
That's very nice.
Thank you.
That is a non-debatable motion. Motion to adjourn is a non-debatable motion. Yep.
That's,
No discussion allowed.
it's a perfect